Indian people have been under extermination for 500 plus years, since 1492. So it wasn't an option for us to sit back and say okay to everything that the United States government handed down to us. Our people have been under termination for the last 60 years since the flooding of Celilo Falls. And the torch was handed to me by my mothers. So I come from a long line of maternal ancestors at Celilo. I was born into the activism. They're water protectors from the get, trying to save Celilo Falls and keep it from being flooded, and at the same time trying not to be exterminated as a people. But our people have been here hundreds of thousands of years, and we're still under extermination. My ancestors, the Celilo YM, who greeted Lewis and Clark, and then for their hospitality, then in turn our inherent sovereignty was blatantly just ignored and thrown aside as if though we didn't exist. For some of us, it's our very existence. For many of us out on the front lines in Standing Rock, we didn't stand there in our selfish need for greed, for popularity. We stood because there were many people out there in prayer. It was a prayer camp. It wasn't a protest camp. When we weren't eco-terrorists who deserved to be shot at with rubber bullets and have concussion grenades and be sprayed with water in sub-zero temperatures, probably highly contaminated water. I left, and most of the vet people that were in the barracks that I shared space with returned home. And 3 out of the 4 ended up in the intensive care because their kidneys and organs were shutting down. So it speaks to the chemical warfare and germ warfare that they sprayed on us regularly. I have PTS behind all of it. There was a train explosion at Mosier, and Bobby Kennedy came and held a press conference on the site a couple of days after the oil train blew up in Mosier. So it's kind of my fossil fuel beginning. Celilo has only one way in and out, and because this is the train blocks us. So if one of those were to blow up at Celilo, we wouldn't even have a chance to get out or to even get help. These big corporations are wanting to do these energy transfers on Indian land. You'll find that the Army Corps of Engineers by eminent domain has taken authority over said land within Indian country. LNG is constantly moving oil across the tracks. All those tracks cut through Indian country. So I think people will begin to unite around here in the Northwest to say, no, it's not okay. I think it's the hour of accountability. They've been getting away with it far too long. Eminent domain is given the United States government to do whatever they want on Indian land. And because this is so, they exercise that right over us. They put plutonium, they put waste in our backyards, in our water systems, whether it's fracking, extracting one way or the other on Indian land for natural resources is going to be the new hostile takeover of whatever land bases we have left as an Indian people. Our water in our ceremony as Sahapt and our Washet ways is what we honor the highest. It gives life to all of the other things preceding, the deer, the elk, the salmon, the roots, the berries. Water's carried with the highest honor and respect in our ceremonies. And I think often now people just really go through a ritual without having the connection. But that was put on us too when we were told we were savage and pagans for our ways of being and knowing, for our walk in this life to coexist with all life. We knew that these trees could sing to us, that the roots had a song for us, that they had voice. They weren't just something we could take without honoring them in the highest. By natural law, they came before us. In the scheme of things, we were created last. They're our greater ancestors, greater than we, and we've destroyed it. We've destroyed the land and the water. So people can make all these energy transfers and be greedy and make all this money off of it for the termination and extermination and the genocide of my people that nobody even wants to acknowledge right now. Celilo Falls is still alive. And the salmon in this water are telling us something right now. The sturgeon, the walleye. This water is too polluted for consumption. It's too polluted for us humans to even think we have the right to carry on the way we are. Standing Rock put at the forefront of every conversation today. It's got to end. The only thing that's going to make a difference today for our Indian people is to acknowledge, and for other people across this nation to acknowledge the genocide as it's still going on today. I need people to know that. I need them to take it to their heart and say no more. Because we are the dumping ground of America and Indian country. Our statistics as Indian people are already off the charts for premature death, infant mortality, suicide, mass incarceration. We're deemed violent, drunk, lazy, good for nothing Indians. That's why they can dismiss us at the tables and carry on with their eminent domain practices to make decisions on our behalf without us. Every Indian village I deal with along the Columbia River does not have safe drinking water, and they all drink out of a hose. We had it better in Standing Rock than my people do on the Columbia River. Our Indian people all across this land are still in poverty. And it's the lateral violence of a system set up to continuously commit genocide upon us, continually exterminate us. That hasn't ended. And that became more clear for a lot more people by Standing Rock, because people became awake. All of a sudden, they didn't believe me when I would say, when they could go down here to the St. John's Bridge and hang from a bridge. I said we would have got shot, sprayed, beat down. The people in this area said, no way, that would never happen. That could never happen. And yet it became real out in Standing Rock. Standing Rock made it very real for a lot of people, how we've been treated as a people. The stewardship that was once ours as a people has changed hands. So now we've got organizations, the Sierra Club. I mean, I could probably go on, but they're predominantly Anglo-Saxon organizations. They're not. We've never been valued as a people as having a say over our land anymore, because we have the BIA to be our daddy, and it has created a stigma within our communities that we just don't have a say. The BIA leases our land makes energy transfers over our land without us. We as a people need to be empowered so much more in organizing. We need national organizations for our Indian people to be able to stand together as one. I think prayer, unity behind prayer was was what I treasured the most from being out at Standing Rock. I experienced a lot of horrific things out there, but it was the prayer that was most beautiful, and carrying on ceremony, water ceremonies every morning, Chanupa ceremonies every morning. I cherish all the people who stood in proxy, who held space for millions of people. There were just tremendous amounts of outpouring for what would be called the cause. We're always a cause as an Indian people when we're struggling to survive and maintain our stewardship over our land, over our water, over our foods. Our first food ceremony always encompasses these things. But Standing Rock undeniably let the whole world know something must be done. And it's not like the Malheur thing. Everybody out at the Malheur who took over the Malheur Wildlife Refuge on Indian land with guns. We didn't have guns. We didn't come out in violence. We didn't come out promoting it. Many people took that home from Standing Rock. I can't even express enough how beautiful it was out there to experience Standing Rock, and all the people who came from Australia, Hawaii, Sweden, you name it. I mean, from everywhere. Tens of thousands of people launching on Angkpapa Sioux territories. It's not activism, it's the fight to exist as a people.